everybody, Henry here. Today we're going to go over how to measure your body with a measuring tape. So what you'll need is measuring tape and proper attire. So if you're a male, ideally you'll do this shirtless with underwear on. If you're a woman, ideally you'll do this in a sports bra or some short shorts or just your underwear. So we're going to measure 5 sites today. We're going to do your chest, arms, belly button, so your waist, your hips, and mid-thigh. So let's go through it. So first off, your chest. So you want to find the right spot. So on your chest, there's this bone right here called your sternum. So it's like a flat part of your chest, and if you touch the middle of your chest, you should feel your bone. So right in the middle of your sternum, this is where you want to line up your tape. So go nice and long. It's best to bring it behind your back first and then wrap around and measure it in front of you. So that's about there. And then you want to make sure that you cross both these tapes and see what measurement that you get. So when we do measurements, we want to go for centimeters. It's just easier that way, I found. So mid-chest, that's about right there. I'm doing this crisscross technique. Good. That's about that. Okay, so your arms. So ideally your arms, you want to get the thickest part, the biggest part, which generally tends to be around the middle. And I find this is the trickiest one to do yourself. So I just hold the tape, pressing my arm down against my chest. Perfect. Bring it out just a little bit. You want to make sure this is leveled. And then you're crisscrossing the tapes. Just like that. Okay, next, your belly button. So this one's pretty easy. So you just find your belly button. Mine's right here. This is where you want to tape. And then like your chest, you always want to measure in front of you so you can see. So in front of you, cross the tape and see which measurement that you get. Perfect. Okay, and now your hip. So when you measure your hip, there's this bone right here. It's actually your femur, so your leg bone going into your hip. And if you put your hand right here, you'll feel a little bony part sticking out. So this is where you want to measure from. So mine is right here. So wrap it around. You want right at that bone, so which mine's right here. Crisscross. And that's your hip. Yeah, perfect. And then last one, your thigh. So ideally, you want to get the thickest part of your thigh, which tends to be around right here, about mid-thigh. Keeping your legs straight. Bring it around just like all the other measurements. Measure in front, crisscross. And there you have it. So that's how you measure all 5 sites. So here are some other tips to make sure that you get the most accurate measurements when you measure yourself. So for one, you want to use the crisscross technique. So I talked about this during the video, but you want to make sure that these 2 ends cross over each other. 2, so when you crisscross, you want to make sure that the tape isn't too tight or it's not too loose. You want to make sure that it has a nice balance, so it's snug, but not too snug. 3, you want to make sure that the tape is leveled. So if it's not leveled and you're measuring kind of sideways like this, your measurement is going to be off, or if you go this way. So you always want to double check to make sure that this is leveled. And don't worry, just like anything else, it gets better with practice. So for some tips specifically for women. So women, you want to make sure that you use the same attire. So whatever sports bra or bottom that you choose to wear, make sure on your next measurement that you use the exact same one. So it's best to write down somewhere or take a picture of the clothing that you wore. Good. Women, tip number 2 is you want to do this around your period, because as you know, during your period you get more water retention, and with water retention, your measurements are going to be different. They're going to be off. So you want to make sure that when you do measurements, you work around that. So last tip, you have to remember that measurements aren't always going to be 100% accurate. There's a big window for error. It's like if you're not leveling correctly, or if you're too tight with the tape, too loose with the tape, water retention, etc. So it's not really important anyways for you to be 100% accurate, because what is important is to recognize and be able to see the general trend of what's happening with your body. That's the reason why we do measurements. Okay, now it's your turn to grab some tape, take some measurements.